Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is, what time is it? It's 12 o'clock on a Sunday. It's time for a Q&A. You can still see that I'm still here in America. This is the final Q&A that's going to take place from the States. As of now, my life gets back to normal, having spent like the last month on the road. Literally, in the whole month of August, I spent one day sleeping in my own bed. I've literally been traveling around the world, mainly supporting Ryland, to be perfectly honest, and having an absolute blast doing it. So, if you've missed the last few Q&As, I'm over here in LA. This is our apartment. I'll be flying back in a couple of days. So the next Q&A will definitely be from the UK in the studio. But I didn't want you guys to not have a Q&A, so I'm filming them while I'm here. So if you've never seen the Q&A before, the idea is that I take all of the questions that you've asked over the course of the week and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. Now, a lot of the questions, I don't look at the questions before I answer them. So you're getting my raw, unfiltered opinion. If one of the questions I think could maybe be a longer video, I will let you know and I will do that video in due course. But look, from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you to everybody that watches this channel. It means the world to me, it really does. It's people like you are the reason why I do what I do and why I continue to do what I do. So thank you very much. But without further ado, it's time. We're going to get into it. This is this week's Q&A. Okay, so the first question is from Arlene Price, who says, "Hi Craig, question, could you tell me how much the Nightshade coin set will be in dollars when it's released?" Now, for those of you that are wondering what we're talking about here, the Nightshade coin set is my third coin set with Alakazam. I first bought out the Mirage coin set, I then bought out Apparition, and the next one will be a Nightshade. I'm bringing them out like maybe one a year or something like that, because I was talking about this with the guys from the Magic Castle Junior program that assisted Ryland in his act. There's a lot of people that don't do coin magic. You know, I was sitting and jamming with these guys and only one of them really did any coin magic. A lot of people don't do coin magic, and it's a real sad state of affairs, to be honest. So the whole reason for bringing out Mirage and then bringing out Apparition was to make it more accessible, to make coin magic more accessible for people. And Nightshade is the next coin set. It had a soft launch at Magic Live, so I think a few people have got it already that picked it up from Magic Live. But I believe that Alakazam are launching it at the end of the year, around about maybe October, November, something like that. And yeah, I mean, this is a coin set. This is a bit like the Mirage coin set in that this is about 13, 14 years old. But it's going to be one of my most expansive coin sets yet. If you took Apparition and you took Mirage and you took the tutorial time for those two projects and the amount of routines on those two projects, you put them together and then added some, you're going to be in the rough ballpark of the Nightshade coin set. And the coins are made by Roy Cooper's. They're beautiful. I don't know is the answer as to how much the cost will be. I know they're going to be available in dollars and half dollars, but I don't know what the cost is going to be. I'm very, very sorry. That's not a me question. That's an Alakazam question. If you go on the live chat, they might be able to help you with that, or if you email them, they might be able to help you, but I don't get involved in pricing. I kind of sway people, you know, so I'll say, hey, I want this as reasonably priced as possible, and I can put my 2 pence worth in, but ultimately it's the company that I'm working for that decide what to price the trick at. So can't really help you, to be honest, but we'll find out together when it gets released. Okay, so the next question is Magic Max, who says, "Hi Craig, big fan of your channel. Thanks for all you do. You're more than welcome, buddy. I am predominantly a kids entertainer and my portable PA is getting temperamental and I'm looking for a replacement. I don't have the sort of budget for a fancy column or Bose speaker everyone raves about, and notice you have a stack of QTX QX10s that your entertainers use, but everyone seems to slam them on various Facebook groups. I currently have a much older QTX QR15 that's done me well for years, looking for a QX12 in between. Do you find that the smaller speaker offers good enough sound and reliability to small to medium venues such as gyms or church halls? I assume so, as you have a lot of them, but I would appreciate your input." Yeah, look, you know what? There's a lot of kids entertainers that are snobs when it comes to sound equipment. And that's fine. No, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, by the way. I'm not saying that in a derogatory way. It means they've got pride in their performance and so on and so forth, and that's absolutely great. And some of these entertainers that have the big Bose speakers, they typically will perform at holiday parks or bigger venues as well. But for a typical children's birthday party, you don't need anything like that. You really don't. For a typical children's birthday party, I think the QTX-10s are perfectly fine. I think we own probably about 100 of them at this point, maybe more. And we buy a new one every single time an entertainer comes and joins us. And we do, 15 to 18,000 parties a year. And we send feedback forms to everybody, and not a single person has ever complained about sound quality. Not a single person has ever complained about, the PA system was too small. So no, I've never had an issue with it. Now, I do a lot of events where there's a lot of bigger places that you're going to, like really big venues and so on and so forth. So when I'm going and doing an illusion show or something, I tend to use a Bose speaker. But if I was going and doing a kid's party, which I still do, and when I do a kid's party, I would go and grab a QTX from the office, because they're so easy to set up. You can run them off an internal battery, so if you're in an area with limited power, you don't have an issue there. And no, they're not as good quality as a Bose speaker or something like that, but for a kid's party, it's absolutely fine. I don't see a problem with it at all. The one thing I'd say is the microphone that comes with them isn't very good. I'd suggest getting like a Bluetooth microphone that's a lot better. There's a few that aren't that expensive that you can use with it that sound really good. So that's my advice on the mic. But in terms of the actual speaker, for what you say that you're needing it for, I think a Q2X12 will be fantastic. Okay, so the next question is from Divishan Magician, who says, what's your opinion on kids magicians doing the spike in the bag, the Russian roulette, even if the method is completely safe? I hate it. I absolutely hate it. When you're talking about kid magicians, now there's a big, wide spectrum when it comes to kid magicians, so I don't know what age you're talking about, but let's just talk Ryland, for example. One of the things for me that's, at least I think, is, and this isn't just kids magicians, but this is all magicians, I think that you should perform the type of magic that would fit your age or fit what you're interested in. So if you look at Ryland's performances, I think one of the reasons that Ryland's become as well known as he is, and he's had the opportunities that he has, is because he's a kid. Think about the magic he does. He does magics with Rubik's cubes. Look at his latest AGT performance. It was well, let's look at BGT. He started off by doing magic with cubes. Semi-final was magic with cubes. AGT, it was drawings, hand-drawn drawings. He talks about how he likes drawings, and he's got a bunch of drawings. Then in the semi-final, it was Lego with the helicopter thing, and it was pictures that he made with his dad. It's all stuff that a kid would do, right? The same with, you see him doing Miser's Dream in his act. He does Miser's Dream an awful lot. Well, if you're a kid, you probably want to make coins appear. He does the floating dancing cane thing, same sort of thing. The dancing Hank will, that's a little bit like Toy Story, isn't it? Like handkerchiefs coming alive, toys coming alive. I think it's really important, especially as a kid, that you do the type of magic that you would expect a kid to do, or at least work with the type of props that you would expect a kid to have. And I don't think it's appropriate for a kid to do a trick that's dangerous, because the thing is, I've done some of those danger tricks in the past, and so has my friend Nemid Phoenix, and it has an impact on the audience, especially with the spike in the bag thing, right? When you're doing that and you're about to slam your hand down on the bag, they're scared. It would be, I think, inappropriate if you had a kid magician actually, putting themselves in danger. I just don't think that would work. Even if it was completely safe, I still think something like Russian roulette and the spike in the bag, I just don't think that's a trick that a kid should ever perform. Now, ironically, me and Ryland, a couple of days ago, had a conversation about this. And he said he wanted to add something like that into his show, but he didn't want to do the spike in the bag thing or anything like that. So there's a couple, I'll tell you the two routines that we're thinking of at the moment. The first one is the one that Sean Hayden has popularized. It's based on the Paul Harris Fizz Master style thing, where you make the fizz jump from one can to another. I think it's can roulette or something like that. It's a download that you can get from Sean Hayden, but it's basically a Russian roulette type thing, or a spike in the bag type thing, with 5 cans, and you get the spectator to shake one of the cans up, and you say you're going to open up the cans one at a time next to your face, And that's basically the same thing as the spike in the bag. It's perfectly safe, right? Perfectly safe. And kids drink pop. It works. The other thing that me and Ryland have been workshopping and working towards is like an egg Monty type thing, an egg thing, a Russian roulette with eggs. So you've got 6 eggs. Now 5 of them are blown. And you explain to the audience what a blown egg is. It's got no yolk in it. It's basically just the shell. 5 of them are blown. And one of them has yolk in it. And the idea is that the spectator is going to pick the eggs one at a time and slam them against Ryland's head. Or Ryland's going to slam them against the spectator's head. And the idea is that they've got to try to work out which ones don't have yolk in it. So, and that's the whole idea. And at the end, you've got the visual of the eggs being slammed against Ryland's head. And at the end, the final egg is opened and you can see it's a perfectly normal egg. And I think that would be, either of those would be a much better route to go for a kid magician than, Russian roulette or the spike in the bag trick or nailed it or anything like that. Okay, so the next question is Arlene Price, who says, "Hi Craig, love your channel. Are there any effects from books that you perform often? If so, can you please give me a top 3 list of books that you perform the most from?" Wow. This could be a DVD. This could be a video in its own right. And I think I should make this a video in its own right. But briefly off the top of my head, I'd say I do a lot of stuff from Card Shark by Darwin Ortiz. A lot, like an awful lot of stuff from Darwin Ortiz Card Shark. So I'd definitely put that in there. Hitchcock Aces is amazing. His handling of Anniversary Waltz is amazing. There's so much really good stuff in there. His small packet all backs routine is amazing. So many really good tricks. David Roth's Expert Coin Magic, his Coins Across is something I do all of the time. A lot of his coin box work I do all the time. I do my version of Portable Hole all the time. So I'd say that would have to be in there as well. And then there's so many books that I actually, I'd say Richard's Almanac by Richard Kaufman, which was a collection of all of Richard's Almanac that came out for about 4 years. And there's so much gold in there that I perform all of the time. It's just an incredible book. And if you haven't got one, you should go out your way to try and get one. And I'll put you a bonus 4th in as well, the complete works of Derek Dingle. There's some amazing stuff in there, some absolutely amazing stuff in there that I don't see many people performing. So there you go, there's 4 books for you, but I think I'll probably do a longer video on this at some point. But there you go, Derek Dingle's complete work of Derek Dingle's by Derek Dingle, Richard's Almanac, Richard Kaufman, Expert Coin Magic by David Roth, and Card Shark by Darwin Ortiz. Okay, so the next question is from Stephen Peters, who says, "Hi Craig, it was great meeting you last month at Magic Live. Likewise, buddy, thank you so much for hanging out. I was wondering if you ever work with a Koran deck. It's not as complex and thus not as versatile as the Stebbins deck, but it seems like it might be fun to explore. I have a trick coming out with Murphy's. I think it's going to be my next trick. And it's not just me that's worked on it. It's me and Lloyd Barnes. And it's coming out through Murphy's. I think it'll be the next thing after Cube 52, but you never know. And it's got lots of principles built into it. And one of the principles is the Koran deck principle. One of multiple principles is the Koran deck principle. But if I told you that it incorporates the Koran deck principle, but there are no repeats at all, and it's completely examinable, you'd probably call me crazy, right? But it's true. The problem with the Koran deck is it's always done the same way, ever. Obviously they changed it slightly with the 5-star miracle deck, is that what it was called, where they went for 5 selections instead of 4. But generally, as a rule, the Koran deck has been around and has been done the exact same way every single time. Even when variations have come out, the variations aren't really normally about the methodology behind the Koran deck principle. The variations are normally like how those revelations are revealed, if that makes sense, right? Well, with this, With this, it's completely changing the methodology of the Koran deck and going in a completely and totally different direction to what you could possibly imagine. So yeah, look out for that. It's probably going to be my next Murphy's release. When we get closer to the date, I'll start raving about it. But I've been working this now for a few months, and my God, it's a good trick. I think you're going to love it. And it's, again, there's a lot built into it, so it's not just like a one-trick pony. Think Cube 52, and you kind of got the same sort of thing. There's a lot you can do with it. Okay, so the next question is from Matt-umentary, who says, "Hi Craig, great job to Ryland. Yeah, he was amazing, wasn't he? His AGT performance was one of my favorites of all time." Wow, I'll tell him that. He'll love that. "I was wondering if you have any tips or advice on creating a stage show." Well, I put a video up online a little while ago on how to create the perfect parlor show, which is kind of part way between a close-up performance and a stage performance. So you can go and look at that right now. How to create an awesome parlor show, I think it's called. Excuse me. I put that up about a year ago. I've never done a video on how to create a stage show. But it's something I'm very passionate about. It's something I could absolutely talk about. It's probably not something I could do here because it'll take too long, but I could definitely do a video on this, 100%. The big piece of advice, and I will do a video on this, but the big piece of advice that I can give you while you're waiting is the big problem that people have putting a stage show together is they worry about going out on stage and basically completely starting again, right? So what I would do is I would look for tricks that would work close up that you can also do on stage, because then that will make it less nerve-wracking for you. Because if you've got a trick, let's say for example the master prediction system, so you've got the master prediction system, you've only ever done the master prediction system on you've bought a master prediction system, so the only place it can be done is on stage. So the very first time you go on stage, you're going to have to do this master prediction system, so you're going to be very, very nervous, right? But look at something like the egg bag, or look at something like cards across, or look at something like a cube routine or something like that. That's a trick that will work on stage. Like all three of those tricks are tricks that Ryland does in his stage show, but they're small enough, they play small enough to be able to be done in a close-up environment. So if you pick some tricks out that work in close-up that you think would play big and work on stage, it's going to make that show more accessible for you when you start performing it. And then the other thing that I would think of is what the type of audience that you want to perform for, because I see a lot of people not thinking about that, and they put this show together, and maybe they'll put a mentalism show together, for example, but then when they decide, right, okay, I've got this show down, now I'm going to market it, the people that we want to perform for, the people that they want to market this show to, wouldn't necessarily book a mentalism show. They want to book a magic show, or whatever the case may be. So think before you start putting the show together. Think about where you want this show to work. Think about the audience that you want to have watch this show, and then that will dictate the magic that goes into the act, if that makes sense. I'll talk more about this in detail, but there's a couple of really important points for you that you shouldn't just like gloss over. You should really think about those. Who are you going to perform for? What's the type of audience you want to perform for? And that will help you work out your trick selection. And what tricks do you do now, or what tricks that you can buy that you can do close up and you can do to your friends and your family or whatever, that will be able to work on a stage. Okay, so there's a couple of tips that you can start with straight away. Okay, so the next question is from Andy Putt, who says, you've achieved a lot in magic, but what are your personal goals you want to achieve in magic? I know you want to help Ryland everywhere you can, but I mean goals that you have on your magical bucket list, like performing at the Magic Castle, etc. Okay, so things that I want to achieve. I'm not really into competitions anymore. It's just not the. I did it years ago. I'm not really. I don't want to go and enter FISM or anything like that. That's not me. I'd like to be. I'd like to one day, be in a situation where I could be on the front cover of a magazine, whether that be the Magic Circular or Magic or Genie. or magic scene or vanish or something like that. That'd be awesome. I don't think it's ever going to be Genie. I don't know why, but Genie never review my stuff ever. I'm a subscriber of Genie. I like subscribe for 2 years at a time, and I've never seen them review one of my tricks, and I have no idea why. I don't get it, but whatever. But that'd be an interesting goal. I'd like to achieve that. I'd like to do some conventions over in the US. I really would. I'd like to perform or lecture at Magifest. I think that'd be really fun. Really, really fun. I'd like to lecture at Magic Live. Don't know if that would happen, but I'd like to lecture at Magic Live. I'd like to do a lecture tour. I'd like to do a couple of lecture tours, 2 or 3 actually in America. I'd like to do the West Coast, the East Coast, and in the middle. I'd like to do a couple of European tours. I'd like to do a lecture. I haven't done lectures for years. I've done the odd 1 or 2 here and there, and I've done some conventions in the UK. But in 2024, I've started putting together a really cool lecture that's very different to anything else out there. And I'd like to start putting that lecture out there and doing some tours and maybe combining that with a few conventions. I think that would be really fun. I'd like to perform at the Magic Castle. Absolutely 100%. I'd like to perform at the Chicago Magic Lounge. That's also something I'd like to do. Very, very much. Outside of that, I've pretty much hit every goal I want to do. I'm pretty happy. As I say, my main goal is to help Ryland achieve his goals. But you know, I'm not that guy that has a need to be on TV or entering talent competitions or anything. It's just not something that I'm particularly that into. But I love performing magic. I love hanging out with magicians. And if I can do that more, then that's something that I would definitely do. Okay, so we've got one more question from Andy Putt, who says, do you have magic tricks that are standing in your living room as part of your household so you can do a magic trick when someone's visiting with something else than coins or cards? To explain what I mean, I'll give you an example. I have a few of these tricks in my household. We have a glass cabinet with souvenirs from our holiday, and there we have 3 metal shot glasses from Rome. I also bought a set of 3 shell and peas, and I have a set of the same crocheted colour balls of cups and balls. So if anyone asks about the holidays, I can show them the shots and balls routine, but smaller and more organic than the normal metal or wooden cups. Do you have any such thing in your household? And if so, what do you have? Really? The only thing that we have is, you know, the Vanishing Ink cube and bottle, not the one that Ryland did on BGT, the one, the Henry Harrius one that I've talked about an awful lot, but the Vanishing Ink one. I think it was somebody's Striker, I think. Really, really good. We have one of those and a cube next to it set up on our living room shelf. And the reason for that is very simple. When people come round, either me or Ryland can grab it and do a timing force and show that the cube in the bottle matches the cube that they picked, which is really fun, really cool. But outside of that, no. Ryland's got a whole bunch of stuff in his bedroom when he has friends come round that he can kind of take off shelves and show people. But in terms of the actual house, the only thing that we've really got is the cube in the bottle. Sarah, my wife, doesn't like too much magic lying around the house, even if that magic doesn't look like magic. Okay, so the next question would be Card Trick Academy, who says, hey Craig, always love your videos. Thank you, buddy. This year I'm starting my first year in high school. Exciting. I'm going to a private school, so no one really knows each other. What would be your advice for me to start performing magic and mentalism in school? So first of all, I'd suggest finding out if anybody else does magic or mentalism. See if anybody else actually does that. See if anybody else actually performs magic and mentalism. Maybe even start a club. I don't know if the school you're going to allows you to start sort of clubs or magic clubs or something like that. But if they do, that would be a very cool thing, you know, starting up a magic club and getting people who have a vague interest in magic into that club. But outside of that, so first of all, I wouldn't go in there and just perform magic straight away. You know, if you don't know anybody, you don't want to come across as a show off. You don't want to come across as, look what I can do and you can't. I would encourage you, first of all, to build relationships. Because don't forget, you only get one chance to make a first impression. You want to be that guy that everybody likes, that everybody hangs out with. You don't want to be the weird guy that just sits there shuffling cards and desperate to show people magic tricks. So, you know, just be a genuinely interesting person. Just hang out and have fun. But then as you find out about each other, you say, hey, yeah, I'm really into magic. And the rest will work itself. Somebody will say, hey, do a trick, show me a trick, and show them a trick and make it a really good one. And they're probably going to want to show you, get you to show them another trick. And, you're going to be known as that guy that does magic, but you're not going to hopefully just be labeled with that one thing. And I always say that when you're at school, don't make it your only thing. Like, again, looking at Ryland, he plays football, he plays in goal, he does magic, he does drums, he does skateboarding, he does all of these different things. He could go in a whole week going to school and never talk about magic once. Don't be the guy that's just constantly just performing 24/7, 24/7, 24/7. Have some other interests as well, and don't forget, if you want to make friends with somebody, the biggest piece of advice I can give you is talk about them. People like talking about themselves. So when you meet somebody, ask them about you. Hey, what's your interests? What are your hobbies? Where do you come from? Just stuff like that. That's probably the best piece of advice I can give you. So don't let the magic define you. Yeah, absolutely 100% do magic. It's super fun. It's a great hobby, and it's going to open up a lot of doors for you. But the most important thing is don't let it define you. Don't just be the magic geek. Make sure that you do other stuff as well. Okay, so the next question is from Reese Whitehead, who says, hi Craig, hope you're well. Very good, my friend, hope you're well. What's the best way to practice routines that require audience participants, such as Keymaster, Apparition? Just bought Apparition and absolutely love it. I've never done coin magic before. The next stop is the Mirage coin set for Christmas. The biggest piece of advice I can give you is it depends on the level of audience participation. Let's talk about Keymaster and Apparition, because those are two tricks I know, obviously. So with Apparition, there's moments where you're putting the coin on the spectator's hand. There's moments where you're having the spectator hold the coin. You can approximate that just by sitting at a table with a close-up pad in front of you. And if you're saying that you can practice your whole thing, so hey, right, okay, what I'd like you to do is hold that coin right now, and you pretend to put the coin in your hand, but just leave it on the table. And when you're wanting them to hold their, go through the motions to say, hold your hand out for me, fantastic. Now I'm going to put the coin right there, but you put it down on the mat. So whenever the spectator's hand is in play, that's when you're that's when you're using the mat. Same with Keymaster. So Keymaster, it's, hey, I'm going to show you something called the 2-coin trick. Do you know why it's called the 2-coin trick? It's because it uses 2 coins. The 2-key trick, it uses 2 keys. Been a long day. I'm going to take this key off. This is key number 1. What I want you to do is take that key, hold on to it. Don't let me get to it. There you go. Fantastic. Hold it tightly. And then I've got another key. Have a look at this key. Check it out. Make sure it's okay. So you're going through all of the motions, but you're doing... you're just putting the things down on the mat if you need them to hold their hands out, or so on and so forth. That's probably the best piece of advice I can give you when it comes to that. Okay, so the next question is Agent Suter, who says, one stereotype I remember from comic books in my childhood is the charmer magician who constantly compliments the ladies in the audience and produces flowers from them. Are there magicians today who play this performance character? If you know Jester Styles, Tom Mellinger, good friend of mine, one of the best magicians you'll ever meet. Very good looking guy, blessed with incredible looks. And he's a guy who is very charming. I'm not suggesting he's pulling flowers out and giving them to women or anything, but having been at a number of gigs with him and watched him on stage a few times, he's very, very charming, and has this way of just getting, the opposite sex to just immediately just open up to him. He's probably the closest I've ever seen to that sort of style. And again, he's not sleazy or sexist or anything like that. He's just, what's the word I'm looking for? He's very nice. He's very nice, and because he's good looking, all of the women in my office swoon whenever they hear that Tom's coming to the office. He's very good looking, and he uses that to his advantage. Okay, so the next question is from Agent Suter, who says, hi Craig, hope you and your family arrive back home and safe and sound. Not yet, because we haven't left. My question this week, which Penguin Live would you recommend if I don't want to focus on new tricks but wanted to learn more about topics like misdirection, audience management, and performance style? I actually can tell you 3. And there's more than 3, but I'm doing a video on this. I'm doing the best Penguin Lives for theory and audience management and stage and so on and so forth. And so I've got a list here. Carissa Hendricks, her lecture is fantastic. I mean, there's tricks in there which is fine. but she spends a lot of time on character development. She spends a lot of time on theory and practice and so on and so forth. And then the second is Arpal Wilson. He's talks an awful lot about theory, as well as there being some amazing tricks. He spends a lot of time talking about theory and act development and so on and so forth. And David Williamson's is also really, really good. So there you go. David Williamson's, Arpal Wilson, and Carissa Hendricks. All of those are exceptional lectures that I would really delve into if you're looking for theory. Okay, so the next question is from Jonah Berg, who says, are you going to bring out more tricks with the binary principle? And if not, can you do a hows and whys of it? I am doing a hows and whys of the binary principle at some point. And I have got one more trick that comes out before the end of the year that involves the binary principle. Everyone duck and hide from Michael Webber. It doesn't just use the binary principle. It uses a few different principles. The binary principle is just one of the principles that it uses. And it's a very different way of using the binary principle. And it's going to be out towards the end of the year. It's coming out from Alakazam, and it's got about 15 routines with it. And I'm filming it next week. So there you go, I'm filming that. That's the next project that I'm filming. While I've been away in LA, I've been just working out everything and making sure that I've got everything in place, because I'm very organized when I go to a shoot. But yeah, that's the next shoot that I'm doing, and it's coming soon from Alakazam, so look out for that. But outside of that, I've got nothing else really that's coming out with the binary system. But I probably will do a hows and whys on it as well at some point in the future. Okay, so the next question is from Jason Staples, who says, I've got two questions, Craig. The first question is, when's the next season of the Matt-umentary? Hopefully we'll be starting in November, maybe even October. We knew we couldn't start it in August because we had Ryland's AGT thing. I had Magic Live. There was a whole bunch of stuff coming on. But September is looking very, very promising. October, November is looking when it's going to start. But the season 2 is definitely coming. And the second question, the audition for the Magic Circle, your advice after having bad experience the first time. See you at Newmarket. Well done, Ryland. Awesome. I'm looking forward to Newmarket. Right. Okay. So with the audition for the Magic Circle, my advice is to keep it simple. You know, some people want to jump straight into AIMC and they want to, like really impress people, and that's all well and good. But keep it simple and keep it to the tricks that you already know how to do. I had this conversation with Nemid Phoenix. Nemid is one of the, if not the best close-up magician in the country, as far as I'm concerned. And when he first performed at the Magic Circle in the audition, he didn't go through because he tried a whole bunch of stuff that he'd never done before, or stuff that he hadn't done for years, because he thought that's what the Magic Circle wanted to see. And when he went in and did his audition again a second time, he smashed it and went in straight away. The difference being that the second time, he did the stuff that he knows inside out and back to front. It's a very stressful situation performing in front of magicians anyway. It's even more stressful when you're performing in front of magicians and you are at the Magic Circle. And it's even more stressful when you're doing an audition and you know it's an audition. So the way to get around that is to just focus on doing the stuff that you know, inside out, back to front, upside down, left way, sideways. That's what you want to do. And practice it over and over again. Treat it like a competition act. Perform it over and over again. Go back and look at the interview I did with Mark Oberon on this channel. It was one of the very first interviews I did. And Mark talks about how he prepares for a competition act. Now, this is somebody who's competed and won at FISM. So really, we should be listening to what he's talking about, right? Well, it's the same thing. It's actually the same thing when you're auditioning. You want to follow that same advice. So go back and look at the Mark Oberon interview. But my biggest piece of advice is do the stuff that you know inside out and back to front, and practice that act so many times. Like when Ryan did AGT and everyone was like, oh, he's so confident, he was so confident. He was rehearsing that act so much that he literally was falling asleep saying the script over and over again in his head. And he sleep talks. A lot of people don't realize this. He sleep talks, and he was waking up in the night sleep talking, saying his act over and over again. So when he got on stage, even though he'd never done that act on stage before, because it was designed specifically for AGT, He knew what he was doing. He had it down. He wasn't nervous because he drilled it so many times. It was perfect. So that's the biggest piece of advice I can give you on that. So yeah, I could probably do another video on this at some point, a longer video on how to audition for the Magic Circle or something. But as it stands, that's what I would suggest you do right now. Pick stuff that you know inside out and back to front, and rehearse and rehearse and rehearse again. Okay, so the next question again is from Jonah Berg. I know you wear glasses, and so do I. From time to time, however, I find it annoying to have them on my face. What are your thoughts on contacts? Do you have them yourself, and would you recommend them to someone like me? I know this has got nothing to do with magic, but just a question I want an answer to. I've never had contacts. I don't like the idea of pushing things into my eye. I think that would freak me out a little bit. So because of that, I've never bothered having contact lenses. The other thing is that I've got a serious stigmatism in my left eye. My left eye has a serious stigmatism in it, and it's a lot weaker. If you looked at my glasses up close, you'd see that the lens on my left eye is a lot thicker than the lens on my right eye. So because of that, I was told that, well, I was told many, many years ago, it'd be very difficult to have contact lenses. So that, coupled with the fact that I don't like putting things in my eyes, made it an obvious choice for me not to bother. And also, there's tricks that I do with my eyes as well, which is pretty fun. But no, I would suggest not really, to be perfectly honest. I would, I don't think, it's up to you. It's an individual thing, right? If they bug you and they really bug you, get contact lenses. For me, I don't have a problem with wearing glasses. They just sit there, so it's totally not an issue. Okay, we've got a million questions from Jonah Berg today. Another question is, I know Ryland went on AGT and he was great, but in all honesty, I think you are a better magician than him. Would you consider yourself going on? I'd really love to see that. I think you would make it far. No, I don't really think I've got any interest in going on AGT or BGT. What would be the point? What would be the point? You know, people tend to go on, well, I mean, it's a different situation. Ryland wasn't trying to become super famous going on AGT. He was doing it just because he loves to perform, and it was a chance for him to go and perform. But most people go on AGT because they want to become more well-known. They want to hope that they get shown so they can have that footage to put in their show reel or whatever it may be. I don't have any desire to do that. Like I'm 47, I'm 48 in a few months. I've reached a point in my life where I'm very happy with where I am. I'm very happy with how my life's turned out. I'm very happy with what I've achieved and what I haven't achieved. And I don't think I'm AGT or BGT material. I don't think I'm the sort of person that they want to see. My style when I'm performing, I don't think is AGT or BGT material. I might be wrong. But I don't think I am. I don't know. I wouldn't be afraid of going and doing it, but it'd need to be the right type of act. And with so much that I've got going on, I've got nothing to prove. That's the thing. I've got nothing to prove. I've got nothing to prove. I don't care what a judge says to me about whether my act's good or bad, because I know how good I am. I know what I'm capable of. And yeah, no, I don't think I'd ever do it. Okay, so the next question is from Stephen Devenrow, who says, you buy so many tricks that are you using them all, or are most of the tricks just in the bottom drawer? What do you do with them if you're not using them? Yeah, well, we have to buy everything for the review show, don't we? Some of them go in the bin, the ones that we know we're definitely not going to use. Some of them Ryland has, some of them I have. And some of them that we like, but neither me and Ryland can find a use for them at that point in time. They go into my warehouse. You know, in my office, I've got a big warehouse, and we've got a special section for tricks from the review show that we don't really use anymore. They go in there so that if there's a situation where we need a particular thing, we can go back and we can go, hang on a minute, we reviewed something like that. Let's go and have a look at that, and then we'll go back and look at it. So yeah, they go in the bin, they go in the warehouse, or they go into mine or Ryland's working set. Okay, so the next question is from Warren Treadaway, who says, hey Craig, great show. Always congratulations to Ryland on his amazing performance. Thank you, Warren. I hope you are, my friend. I recently purchased Gatekeeper, which I love, and I have to ask, which is your preferred handling? I.e., you have the very visual moment using the spellbound technique, or do you prefer the use in the spectator's hand handling, as the magic happens in the spectator's hand is hard to beat? I actually use a combination of the two. So if you know the tutorial, which obviously you do, I do the phase where I do the shuttle pass and I get them to hold on to the key, and they hold on to the end of it, and I pull back and I show that it's it's extended to hold down the stem. And then what I do is I have them drop the coin through, and my left hand is just shifting the key into a position to do the spellbound. So then I take the key back and I do the spellbound to close the hole up, and then I give it them back again. So more often than not, that's how I do it. When I was at Magic Live, I was demoing it by doing an in the hands handling, then doing spellbound. But that's because I was wanting to show people that you're capable of doing it in multiple ways. But when I'm actually performing it, it's really just boom, and it's always the in the hands. Getting them to hold on to the end of it and pulling it back and having them see it stretch, that's just the best, that is. That's just the best moment right there. Because it feels like it's happening in their hands. And then I do the visual thing to bring it back. So great question. That typically is what I do. Okay, so the next question is from Divishan Magician again, who says, a while ago, you made a video on how to be a magical parent and raise a magical kid. Yes, I remember. But this video was made for parents that are magicians themselves and not about how to bring your kid into magic. Could you do another one, but for the perspective of parents who are not magicians and had nothing to do with magic until their kid got into it? That's an interesting idea for a video. So a video specifically for non-magical parents about how to raise a magical kid. You're a muggle, how to raise your wizard. Yeah, I think that's a really good idea, man. I think that's great. Yeah, I'll get to work on it when I get back to the UK. We get back on the Friday, and Ryland's got a really big show on the Saturday. And then I'm filming the following week, and then Ryland's in the Children's Entertainer of the Year competition at Kidology. But after that, I'll get onto it for you. Okay, look, there's multiple comments here about Ryland's act and how well he did on AGT. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. I really appreciate that. I know Ryland has read millions of comments and he's so over the moon. I'll be honest, he was gutted that he didn't get into the top two. We had an incredible final piece lined up. Like what we had planned for the final, I think would have just blown people away. But it wasn't to be. Murmuration were fantastic. Everybody that's gone through is really, really good. It wasn't to be, hey ho, but I really appreciate everybody's kind words. And like I said, you're going to be seeing a lot more of Ryland, I promise. Okay, so the next question is from MK Magic, who says, thanks Craig, you're a legend, you're more than welcome. I know it's a bit late, but congratulations to Ryland on AGT. If you're looking for footage for a trick, how do you ask participants if they're able to film them while you perform this trick? Thanks for your help. Okay, so what I do, and I've talked about this on the channel a little while ago, but what I do is when I take a booking, I say to the clients, hey, you're going to be really busy. There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff going on. You're going to be very, very busy. You might not have a chance to see much of what I do. If I get an opportunity, would you like me to get some video footage of me performing for your guests and send that over afterwards? And they always say yes. And I say, brilliant, that's great. I really appreciate that. Thanks very much. Okay, I'll get you a bunch of footage. So now I've got permission, let's say it's a wedding, I've got permission from the bride and groom to ask people to be filmed so I can send that footage to the bride and groom. So then I'll go up to a group and I'll say, hey, my name's Craig, I'm the magician. I might do a quick trick to see if they're a good audience or not. And as long as they are, I'll say, look, the bride and groom, they might not have a chance to see what I'm doing and they've booked me. So they've asked me if I can get some video footage of me performing to their guests, which may put up online at some point in the future. Would it be okay for you to, can I video you? Would that be okay? Are you happy for this stuff to go up on the internet? You are? Brilliant. I then pick somebody from the group that maybe looks like they're not really as, I don't want to say into it, but maybe they kind of don't want to be the front person, and I give them the camera and I say, here, I'll just hold that, point it at them, don't point it at me, I'm photogenic. I'm not photogenic, let's do this. And I perform and I get them to video it, and then I put the camera away and I go, thanks very much, I really appreciate that, hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll do that maybe 4, 5, 6 times in a booking, depending on the group and depending on if I feel like I've got that vibe with them. And then I do 2 things. I airdrop that, I send over by Dropbox or WeTransfer or something, that footage over to the client. and then I just look at it and I make sure that it's all okay. And any footage that's not okay, I delete. Any footage that is okay gets put up on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook and used for social proof. So that typically is the best way to deal with it. Okay, so the next question is from David Blaine, who says, thanks for responding to my last question. You're more than okay. I wasn't saying what goes on is dishonest or anything. My question was for more of an in-person conversation. I guess what I'm trying to get at is a lot of the times audiences are excited because they've seen 2 or 3 different tricks before the main one you're recording for. Can you do a list of the effects you perform in order when you're at pubs, etc.? I have a bunch of different kinds and I have no idea what to start with, follow up with and finish. The thing is, I know a lot of magic, and I could literally do 100 performances and do a completely different set every single time, which I know is rare, I know it's different, I know a lot of people don't do that, and a lot of people say that you shouldn't do that, but I do. So it'd be very difficult because I could say, right, okay, so you want to open up with a 1 coin routine. Then after the 1 coin routine, you want to do, but that might not be, I very much base it on the audience that are in front of me and what they're saying and the vibe that I get from them. All of this stuff dictates what I'm going to do and the order in which I'm going to do it. And so it's almost impossible for me to give you that advice. But what I would say is about 2 years ago, I put a video up called it was about set lists. And it was how to create a set list for your magic. Go back and watch that video because I talk about how to structure tricks and I go through the process of how you should structure and act a walk around set and how to create multiple walk around sets using the tricks that you already do. So go back and look at that video. It's all about set lists. If you go and type in how to construct a set list, Craig Petty Magic TV, it'll come up, and then you can watch that, and I think that'll give you all the information that you need. So the last question is from O'Brien Magic. Michael O'Brien. If you don't follow him on YouTube, you should definitely go and do so. He's amazing. And I've got a bone to pick with you, Michael. Me and Ryland went over to Disneyland to surprise you, and we went into the magic shop, and you literally left 10 minutes before. And I was like, no! I was so gutted. Okay, so what's your question? How can you do a step-by-step on how you run Facebook, Google, and YouTube ads effectively so we don't throw our hard-earned money down the drain using keywords that don't work? Absolutely. This is not a question that I can put together on a Q&A by any stretch of the imagination. But I am going to be doing this video. In fact, I'm going to be doing an interview with a guy called David. You won't have heard of him. He runs one of the top online marketing companies in the world, as far as I'm concerned, and he handles all of my work. We pay him an awful lot of money to handle all of our online advertising. And since being with him, we've been with him about 6 years, maybe 7 years now, we have seen our return on investment when it comes to ads go up about 15 to 20 times what it was when I was doing it on my own. Him and his team are exceptional. So we're doing two videos, a shorter video, which is going to be an interview for Magic TV, and then a much longer video, which is going to be kind of a course for the silver level Netrix members, where he's going to literally break down exactly what you need to do in order to maximize your return on investment when it comes to PPC, online ads, and so on and so forth. So look out for that. When I get back to the UK, I'm doing that interview. So there you go, guys. That's another Q&A in the bag. Do me a favor, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now, you want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. Now, don't forget, I'm going to be back with a review show special tonight, so make sure you watch that review show special. And if you haven't already done so, follow me on Facebook and all that fun stuff. But I'll be back again soon. Thank you once again for watching me. Have a great Sunday. My name's Craig from Magic TV.